Well, good morning and Merry Christmas. My name is Andrew, and we are so thankful that you are joining us this Christmas morning here at Long Hollow. Let me introduce you to a good friend of mine, Miss Danette. Danette, how are you doing this Christmas morning?
I am doing wonderfully, and I'm so glad to be with you on Christmas.
Well, I'm so glad you're with us too. So I have Danette with me today because her spiritual gift is sugar related, okay? So growing up, my favorite dessert were the Little Debbie Christmas tree cakes. And Danette, I believe you have something really special in store for us today.
Well, I have a better version.
Okay. So walk me through, what are we doing here?
All right, first we got to make our cake layer.
Okay, so we are making homemade Christmas tree cakes.
Christmas tree cakes.
Okay, sign me up for this. Okay,
yes.
so I got a bowl here.
You got a bowl there, it's got a
what is this?
White cake mix.
White cake mix, okay.
You're gonna add in, I'll add it if you want to stir.
Now how much, what is this?
This is a cup of granulated sugar.
Okay, cup of sugar.
We got a cup of plain flour.
Plain flour, okay.
Now we're gonna add in, we have got 1 stick of butter melted.
Okay, and how long do you have to melt this? Because I feel like every time I try to melt butter, it burns.
You do it about 15 seconds at a time.
Okay.
And if you want it to melt.
Just dump it or?
Just pour it in.
Okay, yes,
just pour it in.
All right, let me mix this all up here.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so what's that you're about to put in next?
This is a cup of sour cream. And I'm going to put that in there for you.
Okay.
And you start working it. This is a really thick dough.
Oh my goodness.
And it'll get better after we put the eggs in.
Okay.
But you do not use a mixer on it because you want to be gentle with it. You don't want to toughen it up, okay?
Okay.
Now we're going to add the eggs.
Okay, so I need you to teach me the proper way to crack an egg because I tend to have like half the shell in whatever I'm baking.
Okay, well, you got to crack it first.
Okay.
So tap it on the side of the bowl
tap,
until
tap.
you get a crack.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Put your thumbs on either side.
Oh, I did it the wrong way.
Pull it straight apart, and you don't get any crumbs in there. Okay.
Okay, so after we mix this up, are we going to put it in like a baking sheet, or how do you bake this?
Yes. We have to line a baking sheet. Let me show you. If this happens at home, because you do have to use a whisk on this, take a knife and work it out, and then go back in and keep mixing.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, but for time's sake, we've sort of got something we can move.
Hold on, I'm having fun.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
And then you bake it.
The magic of TV, y'all.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a lined cookie sheet.
We have a lined cookie sheet.
And how long did you bake this?
Parchment paper, it baked for 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
At 375.
12 minutes. Okay, now listen, I know that as you are opening presents this Christmas morning, you may be thinking, this is exactly the treat I want later on. So right now you can actually scan the QR code and you can have all the details on how you can make this yourself at home today as well. Okay.
Now you're gonna have to cut the Christmas trees from the cake.
All right.
Okay. Look.
Ooh.
Now you just press it with your thumbs.
Like that?
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
I got my trees cut out.
All right.
All right, so just so you know, I'm cheating here. I have an OG original Little Debbie Christmas tree cake as a template here that I'm gonna copy.
Okay. All right, we're gonna pipe in our filling.
All right, what is this contraption?
This is a piping bag.
Okay.
Okay? You just hold it like that.
All right.
And then you just take the spoon and you put this down in it. And then squeeze it.
Okay, so what is there like a
I would just
way I need
do
to do
an
this?
outline around it.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
I got a air bubble. I felt it.
Okay, good. Now you're gonna top them with these.
Oh,
We're making a sandwich.
double layer.
Yeah. All right.
All right, how does it look so far?
Fantastic.
Okay, what is my next step now?
The next step is we're gonna have to melt our melting chocolate and spoon it over.
Awesome.
Okay?
Let's do that. Okay, so we just microwaved our, what do you call this again? Candy coating white chocolate.
Some call it almond bark.
Okay,
some
and how
call it white
long
chocolate.
do you heat this up for?
You have to do it in 30-second increments. You got to stir every time and make sure you're not burning it.
Has to not burn it.
Yes.
Okay.
So you want to be generous around the edges.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so I got this all covered.
It's all covered.
And now I get to do some decorating, huh?
Now you get to decorate.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna try to get as close as I possibly can to the original. So not too much green sugar.
All right, go for it. Perfect.
Okay, I feel good about that.
Fabulous.
All right, so what's next? I have my green
All right,
sprinkles.
you got your green sprinkles. Now you've got to put the little red design
Here
on.
we go. Here we go.
All right, run the ribbon on it.
All right.
Ideally, you wait till the candy coating sets up.
We ain't got
you
time
don't
for that.
have to. That's
I
right.
am
That's
hungry.
right. If you're doing it at home, you can wait a minute or two.
And if somebody doesn't have a piping bag like this at home, you brought this as well that they can pick up.
Yes,
Like a
that's
little
called piping gel. that
Piping
they
gel,
sell.
something you can use as well. All right, so am I ready to eat it? Or...
You're ready to eat it. This is too soft to eat, but we did prepare some ahead of time.
Okay. All right, so here we
so
go.
now, throw down.
Let's throw down, y'all. I get to taste test what we all grew up on versus what Miss Danette brought that we wish we had our whole life. All right, here we go. So good.
I don't know if I can top that in your head.
All right, let's, no, it's okay, let's see. Oh. That was amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
Good. Excellent.
Wow. All right, well, with that, I believe I'm gonna finish eating these Christmas trees. Hope you have a great rest of your Christmas morning.
Merry Christmas.
Sing glory to the newborn King, peace on earth and mercy mild, God and sinners reconciled. Joyful all ye nations rise, join the triumph of the skies, with angelic hosts proclaim, Christ is born in Bethlehem. Hark the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King.
Hey, good morning. Merry Christmas to you from our family to yours. And we want to thank you for being with us today as we're going to talk about a few Christmas traditions that we have in our family, and hopefully it'll make you think of some of yours. And then we'll read the Christmas story and really just kind of get prepared for Christmas, the real reason for the season, which is Jesus. So, Candy, you grew up in a family that was very traditional as far as traditions go.
Yes.
What are some of the traditions you grew up with? Which, Candy, is pretty militant that we continue those traditions on in the home today.
Yes, because they're so fun. And I mean, well,
I say
first let me
militant,
just
but
say
you're
Merry Christmas to
excited about
everybody.
it, yeah.
And I hope you've had a wonderful morning so far. But yeah, I love Christmas. So Christmas was a really special time for me growing up because of all of the traditions that we did. And so I try to carry on as much of those as we can for our boys so that they'll grow up and they'll experience the same thing that we did, you know? So, I mean, for us, you know, one of the main traditions is Uncle George's pumpkin bread. And so it was a family recipe that he always made, and he always sent us home on Christmas Eve with pumpkin bread, a loaf of pumpkin bread. Everybody got one. And then we would eat it on Christmas morning for breakfast. And so I still make that today. I gift it to a lot of people, but that's what I try to make so that we have pumpkin bread to eat on Christmas morning.
Now, do you give the recipe out? Because you've given our prized possession gumbo recipe for all the world to see.
Well, prized
Online,
possession,
but-
honey, I don't know if I'd really say that. I mean, it's just easy gumbo. I mean,
What I'm saying, is this like a family secret pumpkin
no.
recipe? Or would you give this out to the church?
I would totally give it out.
Really? Okay.
I think we've given it out to the church before, like in an email or something a couple
Really?
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you eat the pumpkin bread with butter or not?
I do with. I like butter on a lot of things. So with butter, a little slab of butter.
Another tradition you like to do, one your dad did, and now that he's
One of my favorites.
Yeah, this is one of her favorites.
Okay,
which we still
so
do.
my dad always hid a present in the Christmas tree for my mom, and she had to find it. And so she'd look throughout the season, but on Christmas morning, she couldn't take it out. You know, if she hadn't found it yet, she'd find it, or we would find it, because it was like a family thing. But it was always
Everybody look for it.
normally a piece of jewelry of some sort. Like he always would pick
So
her
that's
out.
what he gave her.
He would give her jewelry almost every year, and it would be in the tree, and then she would find it and open it. And so I have requested that Robbie carry on this tradition for me.
Is
And
it real jewelry or just like costume or fake jewelry, or it didn't matter?
no, it was real.
Okay,
It was
well, I
real.
wish I would have known that.
Yeah, it was real. And but yeah, so we carried that on. So, you know, I'm sure that the church knows my dad passed away a year and a half ago. And so this will be the second year, you know, without him for Christmas. But I've carried on the tradition for my mom. And so actually my mom has moved back to Louisiana, and I just texted my brother and sister and said, do not forget to hide something in the tree for mom. Because I want, that was very special. That was a special tradition, and it's unique. Not a lot of people do that. I haven't heard a lot of people doing that. And so I think it's great for you just to continue it for me.
Yeah, which I do.
Yeah, and then we'll continue it for mom.
I like my presents under the tree, not like in the tree.
Right.
Yeah, because
I like one in the tree.
Yeah, now, my tradition growing up was my mom would never allow us to open presents before Christmas morning. I don't know if you're like that or you had a mom like that. So there was no way we could open an early present. However, the loophole was Uncle Johnny and Aunt Debbie would come over on Saturday night or Christmas Eve night. And I would, I don't know if I tell you this, but my spiritual gift is gift receiving. I just found that out when I was a kid. And Candy's spiritual gift is gift giving. So it works out perfectly. But when I was a kid, I was just ready to receive those gifts. And I would wait by the door. Now, Johnny and Debbie would get backed up sometimes, so they couldn't get there till late. And I wait by the door. My dad said one day you were so mad one night, they weren't there early, and you were kicking the front door, literally. And I said, how old was I? Like I was like 6 or 7. He said, no, about 12 or 13. So, yeah, probably. But so that's what we would do. We would open presents early on Christmas Eve. Now, Candy, on the other hand, has allowed the boys to open Christmas presents on December 1st.
Correction.
So back on December 1st, you let them open a present because it was an advent calendar.
It was their advent calendar. So it was like kicking off the Christmas season. And, you know, we didn't really open Christmas presents on Christmas Eve unless they were from aunts or uncles. Like, my parents wouldn't let us open. And I always wanted to open one from my parents on Christmas Eve, and they wouldn't let us. It was, you had to wait till Christmas morning. And so I actually let the boys open a present on Christmas Eve because I think it's fun.
You have always let them open
I know.
presents, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a tradition. I mean, they opened
Yeah.
one. And another tradition that we always did was the reading of the Christmas story.
Yeah.
You know, we always read the Christmas story. Daddy always read it to us. And we have, you know, we do the same exact thing with the boys. You know, sometimes we read it on Christmas Eve night, which is how I grew up doing it, in anticipation of going to bed and waking up on Christmas morning to celebrate Jesus. And so, but we've carried that on today, and I think we're going to read that in a moment.
Yeah, we'll read it in a moment, yeah. And the thing about Christmas, obviously, we give gifts and we joke about the gifts and receiving gifts, but the reason the wise men brought the gifts was symbolic of the greatest gift ever given to us, for God so loved the world that he gave his son. And it's interesting, the word present, giving presents, actually also means present, as in being here and now in the moment. And I think the greatest gift we can give our family this Christmas is to be present with them, right? It's challenging for us so that even though you're here, you may not be present. I was reading something recently about the life of Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, if you remember, who was a Protestant minister who thought he could reach the world through television and the kids. And someone asked him in an interview, which I thought was cool insight. Someone said, "What's the most important thing in the world to you, Mr. Rogers, right now?" And he said, "The most important thing in the world to me is talking to you right now." And it just got me to think he was present, and that's what made him so impactful. So my challenge to you is, as you sit and listen to this story, let's be present and let's remember the greatest gift we have, which is the birth of Jesus Christ. We talked about this in a sermon a couple weeks ago, the incarnation of Christ, that God himself became man, wrapped himself in human flesh to come to earth. I mean, feel the weight of this. The creator becomes the created, right? The infinite becomes finite. The boundless becomes limited. It's really hard to wrap our minds around. But in Luke chapter 1, we see that Jesus is told about by the prophets, and now we're going to see the reality of it. So Luke chapter 2, verse 1, it says, "In those days a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that the whole empire should be registered. The first registration took place while Quirinius was governing Syria. So everyone went to be registered to his own town." And the cool thing about this passage is God is using a pagan leader as a part of his providential plan to bring Joseph and Mary back to his hometown to be registered, which was actually prophesied in the Old Testament, which is really cool how God worked that out. Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, because he was of the house and the family line of David, to be registered along with Mary, who was engaged to him and was pregnant. While they were there, the time came for her to give birth. Then she gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him tightly in cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no guest room available for them. And now just read this next section, which is really neat, that the angel then appears to the shepherds in the field and says, "Do not be afraid, for I proclaim to you good news of great joy that will be for all people. Today in the city of David, a Savior was born to you, who is the Messiah, the Lord." And so I think we have a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be joyous about today. And traditions, the reason we talked about them, it's important because it gives you something to look forward to every year. And while traditions are important, let us never forget the real reason that we gather. And it's not just the hope we have for Christmas, but it's the hope we have for eternity. And that's in God's Son, Jesus Christ. So from our family to yours, I hope you have a wonderful day. Merry Christmas to you.